in the midst of the Acolyte's cancellation, there's been this strange emergence of articles from mainstream media platforms and sites condemning Star Wars fans because it was canceled. So first of all, you attacked fans for criticisms. I think people actually were initially interested in the premise for the Acolyte. I mean, when they didn't know much about it, the premise of a show centered around a dark force user is interesting. And they've already done some good stories with that so far that we've seen in the Clone Wars and stuff with the Asajj Ventress and Count Dooku and other characters. So I think the concept did appeal, actually, to viewers. But as the marketing campaign started ramping up and we could see that there was just not much knowledge or really passion for Star Wars as a mythology, we saw a lot of weird comments from Leslie Headland about what she thought Star Wars was and what she was looking for this project. She marketed as Frozen meets Kill Bill. So there was just a lot of things like that. And also some of the actors were saying, oh, Star Wars was never about good or evil. It just depends on what side you're on. Just things that are just fundamentally showing their misunderstanding for this IP. And there were just so many things like that that just basically turned off fans. So whoever was left were the ones that tuned in, I guess, and they were the ones that were upset, I guess, by the hundreds. So this was an article that came out from Forbes. The very obvious reason Disney canceled the Acolyte. It wasn't toxic dude bros. That was the thing going around online, that Disney caved to toxicity and the toxic fans, and that's why they canceled the show. It wasn't because no one watched it. It was because online critiques, apparently. Like, we have that much power. I wish we did. I wish Disney and Lucasfilm listened to the fans. The franchise probably wouldn't be in the state that it is. Just out of the blue, some people think that we have that much power, and that's why they canceled it. But as I just showed with the viewership, this was so bad. And at $180 million, I think I read somewhere that The Mandalorian cost $100 million, the first season, $100 million. And I think the subsequent shows cost around that much, but Obi-Wan was $90 million. It was half the budget of The Acolyte. And if anyone's going to get the bigger budget, it should have been the Obi-Wan series. You get twice the budget of Obi-Wan and no viewership. It just tanked. People did tune in, so at least it got on the list for those top 10 original streaming charts, but then it dropped off. People just, they watched it, they watched the first two, and checked out because it wasn't good. So what'd you expect them to do? And with marketing, it was probably like $200 million for The Acolyte. For 8 episodes that averaged 30 minutes. That's insane. When you also have other shows, like VFX shows, a lot of stuff that you have to build and costumes and stuff, that have more episodes and at least an hour-long length of time. Andor is actually the most expensive show. It had $250 million, but it had 12 episodes that were average an hour in length, 45 minutes to an hour. And you could see where the budget went. They built sets, they built props to try and make it believable in this world, immersive. You could tell, you could see the cost. So Eric Kane is the writer of this article from Forbes, and he goes on to say, the show itself was not a hit, largely because it was poorly written, riddled with plot holes, had very uneven acting from its various leads, and looked cheap despite its enormous cost. And while some outlets want to paint the cancellation as a win for toxic dude bros in the fandom, as if no women could possibly have disliked The Acolyte, and others are saying that its failure will cause Disney to avoid trying new things, I think the real culprit is twofold. 1, the show was far too expensive and did not draw big enough numbers to justify the cost. And 2, the show was far too expensive and did not receive enough critical acclaim and widespread fan support. So with Andor, it didn't have great views, but it had a lot of praise critically. So they could at least justify it in that regard, and it was well made, and it's the best, I think, most competently made, but there's a lot of good writing and dialogue and character work. The Acolyte had none of that. And it wasn't just from a lore perspective, which it did kind of trash a lot of the things that George Lucas set up in the prequel trilogy and just the franchise as a whole. But apart from that, it was so poorly written. And there were performances, and I'm sorry, Amandla Stenberg was not good. Her performance was not good in this. This is why auditioning is important. She played the 2 roles of the sisters exactly the same. And I think it was even more egregious in the finale when Osha, who I guess was the good twin, was experiencing this descent in the dark side, and she has no expression on her face. She's committing cold-blooded murder and is in the throes of her emotions, apparently. On paper she is, but no expression on her face. And when you're consumed by the dark side, you're at the throes of your emotion. It's all anger and passion and hatred and doubt and fear. It's all of that. And there was nothing on her face. It just is what it is. Nothing against her personally. This isn't about you personally as a person. I don't care. I don't know you. I don't get to know celebrities that much. I'm not in the celebrity news. I just see what I see in regards to your performance. And this is just a critique of the performance. And I think it's warranted. And it's probably more than that, because I've seen great actors give bad performances. Sometimes it happens, and it could be the writing, it could be the direction. So there's also that, which I think was probably a big factor. I actually did I remember when she played Rue in The Hunger Games. She's good in that. And I have seen that she's a musician, and she plays the violin, and there's a beautiful clip of that going around. So it definitely seems like she has a future in music. Maybe that's where her true passion is. There's just a lot of things in this that just didn't work. And I think it's a combination of the writing. And ultimately, if the actor isn't giving the required performance or desired performance, I do think the director is in large part to blame for that. Oh, Travolta, Battlefield Earth, yeah. You know, Will Smith has given a few bad performances too, but he's been great in others. It happens. But yeah, I think bad writing, bad directing was part of it. So it's not just the actor, it's the combination of things. Gary Oldman in Lost in Space 98. Oh, he was in that? I forgot. Yeah, and he's great. He's legendary. I feel bad for Lee Jung-jae too. I just read he had to learn English phonetically for this role. By and large, the performances that were praised were his performance as Soul and Manny Jacinto's Camille. They were good performances, just limited by the writing and directing. It's unfortunate. I mean, because he was putting in the work, and same thing with Manny Jacinto. They gave great performances, but you can only do so much when the writing is so poor. And if your favorite character, a lot of people who didn't even like the show liked Soul and liked his performance, and the way Soul's arc continues, it really tears down his character. I don't know how you could like what his fate was. The way they portrayed the Jedi, they were trying to go for something that evoked Qui-Gon Jinn for Soul, and it started out like that. But then his character just kind of changed, and especially when they were doing the flashbacks, that he seemed very predatory and thoughtless, and how he was trying to lure Osha away from her family, whipping out his lightsaber, like, ooh, see my lightsaber? You should come with us. And it just continued from there, kind of the dismantling and deconstruction of his character, who seemed like, I don't know, your average honorable Jedi, like Qui-Gon Jinn. And then it just got weird and creepy in regards to his character. It's very unfortunate, because yeah, he did give one of the best performances, and yeah, he learned English for the role. But you know, he's got other things. He's got Squid Game coming out, so season 2 of Squid Game is about to premiere, so I know people are excited for that. So yeah, he's gonna be fine. And I think Manny Jacinto, he just got cast in the Freakier Friday sequel. But he's good. He's like a good TV actor. I'm sure he's going to be seen. We're going to be seeing more of him.